How are you guys today? Do you guys know how many people are in Ignite this time?
Around 22-ish.
Okay.
What I've been noticing.
Welcome, everybody.
Hi.
Happy Monday. Does it mean anything to anybody?
No.
Work.
That's what I like to hear.
It means dealing with multiple offers.
Yes, that is absolutely true. It's crazy, especially if you're under the 350 mark.
No, this one's not.
Oh, it's not? It's still crazy? What price range is it?
It's 430.
Are you going to get up to 5?
No, 446. It was a little overpriced, so I was surprised I even got multiple offers.
So that's the problem. We listed at 330 and we thought we were about 20,000 overpriced. And see, the thing about CMAs that you have to understand is they look backwards. They're looking at your actives, your pendings, your solds, but they're looking backwards and they're not necessarily looking forwards.
Well, that's why I look at the ones that are under contract and try to get as much information out of them as I can, but
And
I don't always get it.
that was my next suggestion, is exactly that. So yeah. Call the pendings, find out what they went pending for. As much information. I have a listing coming live that matches your criteria.
Yep, I do that too.
Yep.
I've got another one coming live next week that's in the under 350 range. Everything coming on the market's coming on higher than the highest under contract. So, but I had one that was overpriced a few months ago, and we didn't get activity at all. So it's a fine line.
Yeah, it's what I talk about, the new secondary market. 6 days after you go live, there's an opportunity.
Yep.
If it's still there. Okay, who's excited for today's class? This week's all about the buyers.
Woo!
Contain your excitement, people. Contain your excitement. It's all showing through. I have one fun story from last week. Who wants to hear it?
I want to hear
Yes.
it.
I got a client that I've been working with in getting his finances and getting approved and whatnot. And so he called me up last week and said, "Hey, I'm ready." And I said, "Sweet." Got his approval, got all that. Ran a search for his criteria. One house popped up. We went and looked at said one house and we put it under contract.
One and
Only
done?
one?
One and done.
I think I've only done that once in 18 years.
I was like, "You're kidding, right?"
He was sailing with his lucky star.
Yeah. Anybody else want to know the fun part?
What is it?
It was FHA.
That's
Good
a hard
job.
one to do, isn't it?
It's all about the relationship you create with the listing agent. Build that rapport, build the trust. Show how bad you want it and they'll go with you.
I've won before just because we have a good reputation.
You doing today, mate? Good, how are you? Good, thank you. Smashed the mouse, thanks very much.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, let's do our check-ins and see how everybody did. Okay.
I've been on a construction site since 6 in the morning. I haven't done nothing but deal with fire caulking.
With what?
Fire caulking. Every place that a plumber drills a hole through up through the roof has to have fire caulking around it. So
Okay.
I've been filling all those holes this morning.
Oh, okay.
I went to work with my husband. He's a plumber, so I've been going behind him filling all the holes.
Hey, it's great that you're supporting him. So I think that's great. So let's see. So Leah,
Yes.
how'd you do this weekend?
I didn't leave the house this weekend, but I did put together a lot of baskets for Mother's Day to kind of get started because my business cards finally came in and I wanted to get some stuff out to people that I know are going to be like really good, referral people for me. And I fell off a step ladder because the floor is a lot more slipperier than I thought it was going to be. Taking off some window trim. So it's been fun.
I'm not sure that's laughing matter, but glad you're okay.
Nothing broken, just embarrassed. So
No viral
You
video.
don't laugh, you're gonna cry, right?
just, yeah, I just love home projects. I mean, all I want is my office put together. That's all I want. That's all I want. The flooring is down. The trim is all painted. I'm just waiting for it to dry and cure, and then I can get that up and start moving stuff back in and get the door up, and it's all fun.
All right.
But otherwise, I got baskets ready to take out this week, and this afternoon, maybe I want to call and see if I can't get some appointments set up with some lenders to talk to and an escrow agency and stuff here. So
Perfect. I think that's great. Dave.
Yeah, I've been reaching out to people. I have a meeting tomorrow. And I just mostly kind of reaching out to people that I know or haven't talked to in a long time to tell them I'm doing real estate. And then I've been kind of trying to figure out how RMLS works or have a better understanding of it. That's most of what I've done this week.
Okay, perfect. It's little steps, right?
Right.
Cameron.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good, yeah. This is my first Zoom class, very first one.
Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Cameron. I just moved to Oregon from Arizona. I mean, I grew up in Oregon, but I've been bouncing around a lot from state to state. Now I'm back.
Welcome
And,
back.
yeah,
Back.
We won't hold
I
that
don't
against you.
believe anymore. I just want to stay put. It's been a lot. Yeah, I just started this whole journey about 6 months ago. Something I always kind of wanted to do, and I finally got the confidence to just actually tackle it. So I just got finished. I just took my test and passed it. Yay. It was a big one. It was hard. So yeah, so I'm just
Congratulations.
started. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm just on here trying to learn as much as I can so I can get going.
Perfect. Which office are you out of?
Keller Williams, Central Oregon in Bend.
Perfect. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Jay Dealing.
Yeah, I've been plugging away here, still just getting everything launched and going. Let's see. Oh, sorry.
You're
Can you hear me? There we go.
Yeah.
And set up my RMLS Friday, did my Century Lock thing today, did my orientation meeting today, and I've been adding a bunch of contacts that I made that I haven't had time to add into my command database. And then I have just a ton of other things here listed to do for myself, everything from adding the zip docs to adding my Keller Williams app to my computer, which I have on my phone already, and just a bunch of other stuff here I've got to do, plenty to keep me busy. So things are moving forward slowly but surely here.
Love it. Gwendolyn.
Hi.
Hi.
So I believe it was on Thursday or Friday, I got my postcards approved to send out for one of my farms. And I haven't been able to do that, so I'll probably do that later today. I did have another meeting with a different title company, the one that Corin Thompson connected me with out here in Florence. And they gave me another farm here in Florence, which will be really convenient. So hopefully later this week or later this month, I'll be able to send postcards out for them too. But I also went to a UC Veg meeting. That's just a nonprofit. It's kind of centralized in Douglas County, but through them, I managed to add 6 or 7 contacts. So, doing all right.
Very cool. I love it. Heath. You don't have, is Heath still here? Okay, on to the next one. Alex. Lurch.
Hey, Matt. Sorry if you have a hard time hearing me. We're in the office right now printing out a buyer's presentation because we actually have a meeting with a buyer tonight. So we have that going on, which is awesome. We met with a lender this morning. That went really well. That was super helpful. And we also just we got our KW announcements. We finally designed those and we just got those delivered. So over, I guess, tonight and tomorrow, we'll just be trying to send those out to everybody in our sphere. So that's pretty much all we have going on right now.
Oh, that's it. That doesn't seem like a lot.
Yeah.
Julie. Well done. Julie.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? What's your last name, Julie?
Mayors.
Okay, perfect. How was the
So
weekend?
it was good. I did 2 listing presentations this weekend and pretty excited. If it goes good, I'll get 3 listings from the one. They have 3 properties. And then I have that, and I have a super hot buyer that I'm working with, just trying to find her a property.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's see, Marissa.
Right. So this weekend I went to 2 open houses to just check those out. 2 that were local in my area. And then on Friday, I went and previewed a couple of homes as well. Didn't do too much this weekend, did more kind of reorganizing of my office and trying to get it more organized so I could focus more in it. Did go to a barbecue with our friends and made a few contacts there. And then so far today, I've reached out to about 6 people and I've heard back from 2.
Perfect. Noe.
Hello.
Hey, welcome back.
Oh, thank you. I got actually 12 customers trying to see if they can get pre-approved. Out of those 12, I got news that one is a solid candidate, and I will know within the next couple of days if they got the approval letter or not. So I'm excited for that.
Okay.
And then I've added about 45 contacts so far.
Very cool. Well done. April Joe.
I'm getting there. Okay, I'm there. I have been adding to my command and learning. I've added 5 people, 4 of them today, and that's about it right now.
Perfect. That's plenty, right? As we keep building forward and whatnot. I have a new lead generation system that I wanted to share with you guys. It's actually been brilliant for getting in touch with people that I probably don't contact as often as I should, but when your social media gets hacked and people start messaging them, they start reaching out to you, which has been brilliant. So there is that. Take advantage of every situation. Even though your social media gets hacked, somebody's out there messaging for me, and it's really easy to get your contacts that way.
Oh man.
What were they saying on your behalf?
This is Matt, and I have a message for you. Hey, is this you? Is this you? No, but everybody's reaching out saying, is this you? And I'm like, nope. So in that point, what they've done is they created an extra, they used my face, handsome bald guy, works every time. And they created a different account. And so then I have to report that account. So, but it's great. Already hit my contacts for today. It's been a beautiful thing. Reconnecting with a lot of people. Got a couple appointments. It's what you make of it, right? Perfect. So there's that. Did I miss Jamar?
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How was the weekend?
Weekend was good. Are you asking me what I did? I showed 3 houses on Saturday or Friday.
Okay.
And so the weekend I had family in town, so I didn't do anything else. I scheduled all my appointments for Friday, showed 3 houses, and my client didn't like neither of the 3.
Tell everybody else what you're doing.
I am a general contractor, so I have a technology business. Or the weekend, I also entered a 100-mile 30-day challenge this weekend. So I'm 10 miles in.
This is fascinating because of the fact that one, you're holding yourself accountable, but also it's taking time to think of yourself first and take time for yourself. In this business, it's easy to forget about yourself, take care of other people, and lose track of that. So I found that fascinating, and I it's motivational. So thank you.
Yeah. Anybody want to run with me too? 100 miles, 30 days.
Deal. I'll film from behind. How's that?
Actually, Jesse Deal reached out and he said he would want to run with me. And I said, okay, let's do it. We can motivate each other.
Nice. Natalie.
This weekend was pretty low key. I am now gearing up for an open house I will be hosting this Mother's Day. So come bring your clients and come check it out. And other than that, just working through contacts. A broker, I don't know if you know the show Selling Sunset. I don't watch it.
Familiar.
Yeah, I don't watch it either, but one of the brokers, I guess, found my Instagram and she's been hitting me up. So since you said this whole scam thing, I'm kind of weary about it, but I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what she's getting at, but I'm gonna talk to her anyways.
Exactly. You don't know until you get it all, right?
Yeah.
And I think, that is probably the best, be leery, but be safe and just ask those open-ended questions.
Yeah.
Put it back in their court. So without further ado, how many people have their schedule or running their business by a schedule? Like setting aside time for lead generation, setting a time for lead generation follow-up, setting appointments, that kind of thing. It's one of the first things I did to be successful. And we'll get more into that. I think it's probably one of the best things you can do is schedule and time block. Don't be afraid to set time for yourselves also, especially when you're just getting into it. It's easy to get overloaded. But today is all about buyers and the lack of listings that we have, which works good for listing agents. But at the same time, I'm going to introduce you to Dana. Dana is from Keller Williams, Capital City. She's been selling real estate in the Salem area since 2003. Before real estate, Dana was an industrial engineer, and she provides excellent systems to make sure everything is running smoothly within her business and every real estate transaction. She runs the Burke team with her husband, Alan. Oh, she's a husband and wife team too. Obviously. I was going to say, do you have any advice for those married couples in business together?
Make sure that you have a date night where business is not allowed in.
Yeah, I'll add that. I'll make sure to add that.
That's one of them. The other one is I usually do all the listings and he does most of the buyers, but if he gets behind, I show buyers too. I'd say just make sure you guys can talk through everything, because there's going to be days where you don't agree with each other. It happens even in a regular marriage, but when you're working together and you're at home together, it can be a long day sometimes.
I'm just going to say amen to that. Some days it's great. Some days it's like, whoa. But
so we just celebrated our 38th anniversary, and this month, like next week, we've been together for 41 years. So
congratulations.
Something's working.
I was going to say, that's awesome. And you have
what day next week?
It is the 11th is the day that we met.
The 15th, I will be celebrating 14 years.
Congratulations.
Congrats. That's awesome.
It takes communication and you have to learn to forgive each other periodically, especially in this business. So I will share my screen.
Okay, let me see. Do you have hosting capabilities?
I'm signed in as you guys, I think.
Okay, I just want to make sure you have the host. I am co-host. You are good. You should be good to go.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Now I got to find the other half of it. Always fun.
Isn't it? And thank you for giving back, because it's awesome. Sharing.
Yeah, I love to give back. It's part of why I'm here. So we already did the check-in. So you guys want to add a little extra to your lead generation? give a handwritten note to all the people that you called, because that will actually help you a lot, because people are not getting many handwritten notes. So I would add that in here, because a lot of people aren't doing that, and it'll give you just a little bit of an edge that you're paying attention to detail. When you're showing,
Hey, can I ask a quick question on that real quick? The handwritten notes, just for clarification. When you say handwritten notes, are we mailing handwritten notes or are we dropping off handwritten notes?
I mail them. You can drop them off if you want. I don't have time to do that. I usually talk to enough people in a day that I don't.
Well, that's where I find a challenge. I don't have time.
Drop them off.
I guess I don't have time to mail them. So I lose track. It's not that I don't have time. I just, as part of the task, to write a hand note to everybody I would speak to, that's another process by itself, I guess. So is there a simpler way of doing it?
Well, I typically will send a text to see if my list is available for the day, and then I'll call through my list of those that responded, and I add the other ones to tomorrow's list, and then I do my handwritten notes right after that.
Oh, okay. That's key. So I don't separate the ones I talk to versus the ones I don't in making calls. Gotcha.
Well, because if you didn't actually talk to them, then, it doesn't, I don't count it as a call completed. So a complete call on my team is a text, a call, a text, and a note.
Okay.
And we count complete communications.
Thank you.
So the handwritten notes, I think, set you apart from others, especially if they have more than one friend that's doing real estate. It will set you apart. So when you're working with a buyer and you've already signed your buyer broker agreement, so they're working with you and not just having you show the homes for them and then they're going to call the listing agent and write them up. Some people do that. The best thing you can do is find out what's really important to them and talk to them about what our market is like right now. People know that homes are selling quickly if they're paying attention to it at all, but they don't know that they're going for well over asking price and that they really have to be ready to go. And they usually start just by looking, and then they start the process of getting ready. So when you're talking with them, they need to know that in this market, they're going to have some skin in the game. And you're not going to get your closing costs covered. You're going to be in a good cash position. And you're probably going to have to pay well over asking in most instances. And if you communicate that to them, then they will understand. They won't understand just how far they have to go over, but make sure you discuss that with them because it's going to come up. The faster we can get them into a house and the least amount of offers you have to write for them will also be beneficial. We typically spend the morning perusing what just got listed and calling clients up to let them know, hey, this one fits your criteria really well. Let's get you in there.
You discuss with them the fact that they may need to make an offer over the list price and that may mean that they will need to come up with more cash than 20%? Well,
they don't always have to have 20% down depending on the loan type. So they just have to pay some mortgage insurance. But you need to have that conversation with them because like today we had multiple offers and the client took the one with the most cash down because there's more room for error if something goes wrong. So, and they had waived the inspections. They're still going to do the inspections, but they waived any repairs. And those are sometimes if you have somebody that doesn't have as much cash down, call the listing agent and find out what's important about for the seller. Do they need a long closing so they can find a replacement property? What do they want? Because if you don't have as much cash as somebody that's got $100,000 down, like this one did, at least you have a chance of winning because you're going to give them what they want on the backside. So I had 19 offers on a house under 350 a couple weeks ago, and the one that won would let her have the close date that she wanted, where some of them were wanting it sooner, and she's going, well, I'm moving when my daughter moves, and we're moving on this day. So she didn't want to move any earlier, and they didn't want her to be in possession of the house after closing. So okay, then we just won't close until this day. And a better offer didn't win because they wanted to close on a specific day and figured that their offer was strong enough. But that's not always what makes somebody win. And so if you talk to the other agent, the listing agent, and find out what the seller needs, sometimes you can win. I had one person that didn't have a super strong offer. They were actually our fourth place one. They would let her rent back for an entire month if she needed to, and not charge her rent. So, that's a value. They didn't have the cash to do it up front, but they knew that they wouldn't have a payment for a month and they could stay where they were for that month. So that's other ways to win.
So it's about communicating and finding out what they wanted before putting in the offer and making it good for the person selling the house.
Correct. Now, sometimes they don't need extra time. They want to get out as quick as possible, but you don't know what the situation is until you talk to the listing agent. So it's super important to make that communication up front. At least you'll have a chance of winning. When you're competing against 20 offers, only one can buy the house. So you need to make sure you do that. Discuss statistics. I got smart this time. Last time I taught this class and I couldn't get to the statistics and some other things. I did it on my iPad. Here's the next. I think I covered it up with these. Okay. Have all of you created your National Association of Realtors accounts?
Yes.
There's a lot of good information out there, and every year they do an annual survey of home buyers and sellers. And it's important to understand those statistics because buyers, even sellers, start looking at homes online. 95% of them do. The typical home buyer will search for 10 weeks and they viewed more than 10 homes. It says 10 homes in the statistics thing, but I would venture to guess most of them have viewed more than 10 homes. 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search, and 50% of buyers use a mobile website or application in their home search. Almost everybody's looking on their phone, their iPad. A lot of the millennials, I'll see them, they'll bring an iPad so they can look at the pictures between houses. If you want to really kind of wow them, download everything and put them in the order you're going to show them onto their iPad, or have a secondary iPad that you can give them that has everything in order. It's a way to let them really look at the houses and understand them before they start walking in. 98% of buyers who used an agent viewed real estate agents as a useful information source. So we are the information source for knowing neighborhoods and knowing what schools are and which schools boundaries they're in. I know that Willamette Valley MLS doesn't require the schools, where our MLS does. And there's a lot of times people just don't look them up and put them in there. And the buyers really want that information. They want to know what school district they're going to be in. The other caution I would have with school districts is, as different parts of town grow at different rates, the boundaries do move. So you need to make sure that your clients understand that what they are today does not mean that the boundaries will be the same next year. 24% of recent home buyers reported the primary reason for the recent home purchase was a desire to own a home. 9% purchased a new home due to job-related relocation or a move. We've had several people move into our area because they don't have to commute to work anymore. So a lot of Portland agents are coming down into our area to get a little cheaper price point. It won't let me move you guys to where I can read the arrows. I have to move you up and down. So qualify properties. You know, if your buyer's in the under $350,000 price point, I try to send them almost everything on the market so they can see them as soon as they come on. But finding the right house, when you see one when you're looking at homes, when you see one that fits all their criteria, make sure you reach out to them and give them a call and say, hey, we really need to go in and look at this. And I have actually not looked at the MLS today, so I'm going to see. I can swap screens here. And see how many are in Salem today. So in Salem, not under contract, there's 148. I put in 350 as the upper price point. There's 33. There are not many. And I'm sure you guys are all having that same issue. But talk to the listing agents in your office, see if they have something coming up that meets your client's criteria. And there's a lot of people actually writing offers on sight unseen homes when they're in pre-list status. So, you know, it's scary for buyers, especially in the lower price points. It's very scary for them. You can make it contingent on them seeing the home. But you might be able to get something under contract for them by doing that. When you guys tour through the home, if the house is vacant and there's a bunch of agents showing up about the same time, it depends on how the agent has it set up. Just be courteous to anybody that might be in the home already and let them finish before you go in. I would also caution you on making sure that you look for cameras, because a lot of sellers are recording you when you're in their house. So be very cautious about what you say about the house when you're in a house.
Now, I have a quick question.
Okay.
I'm wondering, I totally understand being conscious of what you're saying, in the house. But if you see something structural, you see cracks, in molding, or you see something paint peeling or a window seal that's broken, are those things that are fine to be pointing out to your clients, or just make sure you're doing it in a polite way?
Just do it in a polite way. You don't want to trash somebody's house and they're listening to you do that. Okay. So just be courteous and polite. But yes, I would still point those things out.
Okay,
I walked into a house, there's an area in Dallas that has expansive soils, and you walk into those homes that don't have a new foundation under them, and every wall will have a crack in it. That is a big red flag, and yes, you need to point that out to your buyer. But as long as you're doing things that are ethical and truthful, you're fine. Just don't say, "Oh God, this house has a bad foundation problem." You don't know how bad it is, but I guarantee you, if every wall in that house is cracked along every sheetrock line, there is a major foundation problem in that house. You do want to point things out that you see. I mean, dry rot. When you're in bathrooms around the toilet areas, stomp on the floor and make sure the toilets are bolted firmly to the ground, because I've gone in and the toilets are loose, and you can see that they've leaked into the flooring and it's causing a problem. If you're a contractor and you have one of the moisture meters, my husband carries one. Like I said, he does most of the buyers anyway, but he carries a moisture meter. I usually carry the electrical outlet thing to test the outlets to make sure they're wired correctly, especially when you're in, let's say, a house built before 1968. They may or may not be grounded, but it looks like they're grounded. So if you have the electrical outlet thing to test, you can tell whether or not it's grounded. It gives you a non-ground signal. And that's important to know. If the electrical panel has been updated, but they haven't pulled wires, you don't want to plug the new TVs into a non-grounded outlet. And even if they ground it at the panel, it's going to destroy your TV before it interrupts the signal. So it's important to make sure you note that. I like to give our clients the client sheet so they can make their own notes on there. But when I'm done showing the first home, I will ask them what they liked about the house, what they didn't like about the house, especially when it's the first time you're showing them. Because you want to make sure that you are understanding everything they really want. And sometimes they don't articulate it well in your initial consultation, but they will when you start going around and seeing homes. They'll, if they like a really open floor plan and you're taking them into a 50s house, those houses are kind of chopped up. They're not super open. You can open them up, but it takes money. So have you all done a search, except for maybe one of you guys is really, really new? Have you all done a search in your multiple listing service?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
So when you're looking at things, like I look for baseboard heaters. A lot of people would rather have a central furnace and air conditioning. So if it's baseboards, you're going to have to do something different, and it's important to make sure you talk about those features with your clients. if the sellers excluded something that they're seeing, like I have a client that didn't get their hot tub out of there, but they wanted it excluded. So I'm clarifying that in the counter offer because I'm not sure that they know that it isn't included, even though it says it in the multiple listing service. Because they asked my co-list agent questions about the hot tub, but they didn't address any of that in there, and they missed some of the check boxes. So I clarified all of those points. Make sure you check all the boxes and fill in all the timelines. It's just good contract writing. If there's something in the home that is not readily apparent, like if they have the soft door closers, open the drawer and see if it's just got the soft closer or not, and point that out if it does. If it's got the pull out for all the shelving on the bottom of the cabinets, that's a good feature too. So point some of those things out that are not. People aren't always opening doors right now because they're kind of programmed to not touch anything. So you need to point those out so they can see that. Does anybody want to do a tour of a house and practice? There is a script on page 29. Get to the bottom line with your buyers. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, what you are looking for doesn't exist. So we have to make a decision. You can step into a higher price point. You can adjust your expectations. You can step away from the home buying process for a year and see what happens. What is the best course of action for you? If you have a buyer that doesn't have enough down payment, that might be a good question for them. Prices are going to be higher next year, but what can they do? What can they cut out of their daily and weekly lives? A lot of times they can cut out some lattes because those are expensive. And at the end of a week, it can be $50. Pretty easy if they're getting a large latte every single day. So talk to them about that. What can we do to make you have a little more cash and can win? There's another script that they want to think about it. We want to sleep on it. In this market, they're going to miss out on the house. And it's hard to convince someone to just write it up when they're petrified that they're spending a lot of money. We can get them out of it, but it's just like a football player that wants to be a star football player. If they're sitting on the sidelines all the time, they never get to play the game. They aren't going to have any stats, right? We don't get them into a house and negotiate for them to get them into there. If they don't pull the plug and say, yeah, we want to make an offer, you gotta get them into the game. And I use basketball and football as an analogy a lot because people want to play, but they kind of get scared. And we can get them out of it with the inspections. And we can get them out of it, when they spend a little more time on it. Before the end of the inspection period, it's pretty easy to get them out of it. Where there is no passion, there is no vision. So talk about houses with your clients, talk about some of the things they need to do. And I missed the video, so I'll do that one. I will unshare. Stop share.
my name's Sean Healy, and today I'm going to teach you how to create buyer urgency through the showing process. And the first step is setting expectations. We tell buyers that it is a seller's market, and what that means is the best homes go fast. The next area that we set expectations in is multiple offers. We tell our buyers there's going to be a lot of other buyers out there, and you may find yourself in a competitive situation. The third area that we set expectations on is condition. Many of the homes that they're going into are going to be move-in ready, but they need a little bit of work. The next step in the process we call the funnel. And essentially, we're trying to take the entire MLS and funnel it down so that at the end of the day, there can be only one house that kicks out the bottom. What I'd like you to do tonight, pick out the best 10 or 15 homes, and then tomorrow drive by those homes and check them out. I want you to pick out the best 3 or 4, and we'll go out and take a look at those homes. Next part is the actual showing process. We show the first house. You'll ask the buyer on a scale of 1 to 7, leaving out the 4, 7 being perfect, and there is no perfect home, and 1 being unlivable. Where would you rate this home? Inevitably, the buyer will answer it's a 5. And the reason they give you a 5 is because they don't have anything else to compare it to on the very first home that they've gone to see. Then what you want to do is try and reinforce what's making it a 5 for you. Then the next question you asked said, what are some of the things that you would do to move it more towards a 7 if you were to purchase it? You go on to the next house. Now you ask an alternative of choice question. Pretend you had to buy one of these 2 houses today. Which one would it be? The last one we saw or this one? They liked the first one better. Perfect. Go to the third house. The third house, you do the same thing. You say, all right, Gary, pretend there's only 2 homes on the market and you have to buy one today. Which one is it? The first one we saw or this one? And they say, this one. And you repeat that process over and over until you get to the last house. At the end of the day, you say, well, it looks like 123 Main Street was your favorite house. So right there from the house, we call the listing agent, find out if the home is still available. Let's go back to the office and get this property written up before somebody else gets it. My biggest aha out of this came when I was out with one of my first-time buyer families, and we drove up to the first house, and my buyer said, I don't even want to go in that one. What he ended up telling me at the end of that trip was, Sean, what I want you to do is print me out a list of every home that matches my criteria. I'm going to drive by those homes, and I'll tell you which ones I want to see. Aha! Hey, thanks for watching KW Connect, and make it a great day.
Any ahas off that video?
I think that was good. I mean, I like how he basically is trying to get answers from his client by saying, you know, how do you feel about it? And then how do you compare that with another one? Just forcing people to have to disclose how they feel about things. Like what you were saying, you're going to find out eventually. So it's better to find out early.
Well, it's better to find out early, and then you're better at getting them exactly what they want to see.
Yeah.
In this market, the problem with sending it to them, having them drive by, is it could be gone by the time they get back to you. So I don't show houses before I check to see if they're still available. So when he said check, but you do have to double check again, because you called before you showed, and then you got to check again if they really like it, because some, you know, they might not have had any offers in before, but now they do. or they've got a cutoff time of 2 days from now at 5 p.m. to get the offer in. You need to know those things.
Can you explain to me, and this is probably a naive question, but if someone decides to make an offer on a house, at what stage is the earnest money put, like basically, like what point in the process is that in the contract stage, or is it if the offer is accepted, they're saying we're offering?
You don't collect it unless the offer is accepted, especially in this market. My husband's got a couple people that just won't step up to the plate. He's written like 15 offers for one guy. But you could have them write a check. In the old days, we used to write a check when we wrote the offer because we usually just turn it in right after it got accepted, or we return the check. But it's easier and you have less chance of losing it if you just don't collect it until after the offer is accepted.
Thank you.
But they do have to be prepared. They have to be prepared that that check is going to get cashed. So if it bounces, they're out of contract. So it's super important that they have money in that account. With electronic banking these days, you can move it from one account to the other pretty fast. But I have had a buyer that forgot to do that, and it bounced. We were able to cover it with a cashier's check, but.
And the earnest money, if they decide to pull out because of something in the inspection, are they gonna lose that money, or?
As long as it's a contingency, they will not lose the money. Okay. But if they wait until after repairs are negotiated to come out, they can lose it.
Okay.
I haven't had anybody lose it. One of the agents on my team did have somebody that was trying to buy a lot, and when the price of wood went up so much, they no longer qualified for the loan they wanted, and the seller of the lot did not want to give them their earnest money back. They ended up splitting it, but that's the only time in 18 years I've lost somebody's earnest money.
I see.
Because that wasn't a contingency, that the price had to be under a certain dollar amount.
Right.
So if you're going to switch to buying the building, there's a few other things that go into it, and you'd probably want to have a dollar limit on it. If you're working with some of the big builders that are around, like D.R. Horton or those guys, they're pretty good on their pricing, but you can see that their prices are moving up with like building materials going up as well. And if your buyer adds some things that are cost more, the price is going to go up again. So it's just, you have to be cautious when you switch to a under construction purchase, because you can end up, like they'll give you allowances if you're building a home for light fixtures. And if you go over the allowance, you're going to pay more.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure you pick appropriate dollar amounts too, because refrigerators can be quite expensive, especially on the stainless steel and the newer refrigerators. They're $3,000 or $4,000 sometimes. Mm-hmm. But there's another refrigerator that's less expensive. They can buy that and not ruin their budget.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys want to practice any of the scripts on page? There's a script for next appointment and handling objections. What if the price drops? Does anybody want to read that? On page 28. I'll read the one we want to sleep on it. You're right. This is a huge decision. However, I have to give you fair warning with as little pressure as possible. If you are ready to write an offer on this home, other buyers may also be ready to write. Being first to write will make a difference in negotiating the best possible price for you. Is there something specific holding you back? How can I assist you with your decision? If they still want to wait, that sounds good. I will call the listing agent first thing in the morning to see if the home is still available, and then I'll call you. If you have any questions on the property, I can get answered for you. Do you have any other purchasing concerns I can help you with? If you're working with a first-time home buyer, they are nervous every single time. And one of the things I tell them is, even when we're buying a rental property, I get a little nervous. So it's okay. You know, I'm in this business and it's still a big check at the end of the day. So it's okay to be nervous. These are the things that the contingencies that we're writing into your offer. And we're going to protect your earnest money as best as we can. If you look at page 31, customer experience is the focus. When we do an initial consultation, we note down everything they really want in a home, and then we go over what do you have to have and what do you want to have. And we kind of compare that at the end when they're getting ready to write an offer. And if we've hit all the buttons on the likes, plus what they would really like to have, you know, ask them what's stopping them from making an offer on this particular house. If they're afraid of competing, they're not gonna not compete in this market unless you can find one that just isn't on the market yet. And that person doesn't want their house shown. Because that's about the only way that's gonna happen in this current market. So make sure you walk through what they really wanted to have. I do keep a first aid kit in my car. And I have a measure, I have a digital camera, and I keep toilet paper in my car. Every now and again, you're gonna have somebody that's gonna have to go to the restroom and there's no toilet paper in the house that you're showing. So take some toilet paper in the car. They're recommending we take office supplies, pens, pencils, notepad, tape, and stapler. I do not do tape and stapler. I do carry paper. I usually take notes on my phone, so I'm more inclined to type it into my phone anyway. I do carry water. And if they have kids, I usually actually make them drive their own car because I don't want to mess in my car. But I'd rather have the buyer and seller in my car if I can, though, because we can talk while we're going from house to house. And you can point things out in the neighborhood. You know, like this is the school that your kids are going to go to. This is the nearest grocery store as you're driving by homes. And when they say they really like one, you know, sit back and think about what's around that house and where they would probably be going shopping so that you can point that out, especially if you have an out-of-town buyer. Even though there's a lot of people that are moving out of our area, there's a lot of people moving in, especially from California, even Denver, and Ohio. I have 3 clients from Ohio right now. So make sure you point out the different things that they would be going to, and if they go to church, find out what church they go to so you can point out which one they would be going to in that area. the mock showing's a little harder to do than on Zoom than it is in person. People with kids tend to want a bigger yard than people that don't have kids, but ask them if they like doing yard work and try and pick homes that meet their criteria. Has everybody been in visiting homes? Been to any open houses or anything? I'm gonna quit sharing because we're about done, I think. Yep. Does anybody have, do any of you guys have any questions that I can answer?
What do you think for people that are just like, they are a young couple, it's their first home, they have, you know, they've not seen any homes. What are the things that wouldn't be totally obvious to us as new real estate agents? You know, you spoke a little bit about anxiety. What other things, I mean, the things that come to mind is just making sure that they have, you know, been pre-approved, but anything else that you think of specifically for, you know, just total newbies?
The really biggest thing is not all lenders walk them through that they have their down payment, but they also have closing costs. So making sure you have a conversation about how much the closing costs are going to be. I use the Fidelity app. You can run the scenarios for them and let them see what their payment with taxes and insurance is going to be. Our taxes vary widely property to property because of the Measure 50 rule, Measure 5 rule, 5 or 50. They went back in the 90s, and it set the limit on how much property values could go up each year at 3% as a maximum. So taxes vary widely all over our areas because of that. So if nothing majors, if they do any modifications to the house, that changes it, resets it at the new price point. So if they did an addition or they do any major remodeling, the house will reset at the time they did that, and it can only go up 3% a year from there. And that's why the taxes vary so much. So if you have somebody that's concerned about how much property tax, because that's going to go up every year, their payment's going to stay the same if they have a 30-year fixed, but that piece is not. The other thing that they don't usually do is they don't look at how their withholding can change because of the mortgage interest deduction. Now, federally, that's still protected. Oregon's trying to get rid of the mortgage interest deduction for Oregon income taxes because they want more money. So we need to be getting with our congressman and fighting that as best we can.
Yeah.
And they've been trying to do it for about the last 4 or 5 years. So with a heavy Democrat on both the House and the Senate in the state of Oregon, they're wanting money. And
they're pushing to get rid of that deduction.
They are, because it's a lot of money.
Yeah, for the state.
Yeah. And I think the Democrats are probably going to push for that in the federal, but I think we're a little better balanced there than we are in Oregon. But that's something that we need to stay active on, and we need to talk to everybody we know about that because they're trying to push for that. But talk to them about their closing costs. And I would encourage you guys to get the Fidelity app or Tycor app. They're the same app. AmeriTitle has it too. And make sure you know how to run the calculator. It's very simple. You don't have to put a lot of data in. You're just putting their price, the taxes, what their down payment is, and it will give you the closing costs, and it's pretty accurate. The one thing it's not accurate on is on the seller side. If you're running what they will net, it does not calculate the interest correctly. It only calculates it for the month you're in. So like last week it was April and they probably haven't made their May payment. You need to make sure you add in a month of interest if their sale is closing on the first of the month. This is probably not paid yet. And that's usually where I'm off. My background is I was an engineer, so I'm pretty good with numbers. But that's where I find that it's off. So I always add a full month of interest on the seller side. But on the buyer side, they usually can skip if they close after the 15th of the month. They'll skip a month before their payment. So when you're working with first-time buyers, close them after the 15th of the month so they don't have a payment in 2 weeks.
Makes sense.
That's something you can do to help them. I try not to close on the last day of the month because a lot happens. You know, if we didn't get documents in from a lender or a lender got backed up and they didn't get everything done on time and we don't close until the following week, like this last April ended on a Friday. So you have, the earliest they could close again would be today. So just make sure you watch the calendar when you write the offer. I like to have them documents early enough. Get a good relationship with a really good lender. But sit down and talk to the lender when you first get under contract and say, I want to be communicated with on a weekly basis. I want to know where the loan process is. And I follow up usually on every Friday with lenders. And the week that we're closing, I follow up almost every day.
I got a question.
Okay.
I have a customer that I'm currently working with. It seems like they're going to get pre-approved, but I talked to the lender and they said that I would have to figure out on either my customer come up with an additional $8,000 more than they have for down payment and closing costs, or if I could get the seller to do a credit. So when do you work this out? Once you make the offer?
Well, if they need to contribute closing costs, you're gonna need to do that in your offer. In a competitive environment, you're not gonna win. So your client in this market needs to have both their closing costs and their down payment saved. If they have a parent that would help them with that, or the parent can help with the difference between the appraisal value and the value of the house, because we are having troubles with appraisals with the multiple offers. I would have a conversation around that to see if they can get some help for qualifying.
So that'll be the safest option.
That would be the safest option.
To see if
You
they
need
can
to
come
know
up with that
exactly
money.
what they need when you write the offer.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're not going to be able to fulfill it.
Okay. And this closing cost is not something that, let's say, if there is money left over from the total amount that they qualify, yet they're only want to spend, or they found a house for, say, $25,000 less than what they qualify for. So that's not something that their loan could
Nope.
pay for.
Most loans won't cover that.
Okay.
Because that's where the lender gets paid. Okay. So the title company gets paid out of the closing costs, the lender gets paid, and somebody asks which app. It's Fidelity Agent 1. And get the paid version because it has all the options you will need. It's only like $2 or $3 a year, but it's an app I use almost every day. Any other questions?
If you were going to meet with a lender or like a mortgage broker, what are a couple key questions to have them explain to you as a new agent?
I would actually ask them what their process is, because everybody's a little different. Most lenders are going to send you to their website so you can upload the documents, and they're not going to really meet with them until after they have their documents. But some lenders will pull the credit and walk you through the process. You can have them walk you through the process on yourself so that you understand what all's in there. And a good lender would be happy to do that. What area are you in, Dave?
I live in Northeast Portland.
I have a lender that loans in Oregon and Washington. Her name is Tracy Benjamin.
Okay.
She's with Churchill Mortgage. And her phone number is 503-932-5511.
Thank you. Is it EY, TRACEY, or just
TRACI?
Oh, okay. Tracy Benjamin.
Yes.
Okay. And reach out to her and see if she'll just sort of have a conversation with me.
Yep.
Thank you. That's great. I appreciate that.
She's a good lender. She's been doing it for, I think she's been doing it for like 25 years.
Wow. Do you think, I've heard sometimes people say it's important to have a local lender in this market because of responsiveness. Is that true or?
It's true. I had a house that it was an estate, and the family, the offer they chose, which was significantly higher than most of the rest of them, was it had Bank of America as the lender. I have never in 18 years closed a loan on time with Bank of America, Wells Fargo, US Bank. So I prefer working with the mortgage brokers because they do watch the dates a lot better, and a good experienced lender will help you get through all of that. And you don't want a broker, you want a mortgage banker that all they do is loans. So like Churchill Mortgage, Movement Mortgage, those are good lenders that process everything locally.
You want a mortgage banker, not a mortgage broker?
Correct. If they're brokering it, and sometimes the best option for that client is a brokered loan, especially if you have somebody that's self-employed. Some of those loans are a little harder, so they may broker them. But if they have a lot of products, Academy Mortgage, Churchill, Movement, and they're all up and down Portland and Salem. Credit unions actually have some of the best rates, but you want to make sure they process locally and not somewhere else. So On Point's great to work with. First Tech has some of the best rates I've ever seen, but Salem, what was the name of that credit union? They broker it. They have some lenders have what they call an overlay, which is tighter criteria than what the loan calls for. And there's one of them that has just hoop after hoop that they make people go through to get a loan. And I try to stay away from those kind of guys. But On Point, Maps are both teacher credit unions. But On Point has a zero down product that's conventional, and they keep the paper, they don't sell it. That is actually, we've gotten people in on that loan, not recently, but when the market had a little bit more inventory.
So when your clients are looking for a house, you'll suggest a couple people for them to reach out to for financing?
Yep, I have a sheet I give out that has, I have a Guild, Mortgage, Movement, Churchill, and Academy Mortgage all on there. And I kind of recommend whoever I think they're gonna fit with best, because they're all a little bit different.
Okay.
The lenders themselves are different, and so if somebody's a high D, I'll put them with my gal from Movement, because she can deal with the different personality types a little better.
Uh-huh. This is like is it Tony Robbins? I hear people talk about this all the time, but personality type things.
Yeah, you have DISC, D-I-S-C. So you have the direct people, the people that run companies are typically a high D. You get an I, a lot of realtors are I's and S's. So they're outgoing, they're not usually in this, they're people pleasers. They want to get around as many people as they can. And then the C's are your accountants and your engineers, and I'm a DC, which is not very common. I found out that I make a good listing agent because I'm really analytical. At the same time, I like to get things done. So makes for a really good listing agent.
And is that called the DISC system, or what is it? If you were to look it up, try.
This profile, if you go to TonyRobbins.com, they have one.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. When you're working with buyers and it sounds like they would almost be better off getting new construction, how is the best way to talk to them about that?
I mean, just take them by one of the new constructions. A lot of the contractors right at the moment are only building spec homes because they can control the costs. And I've spoken with several of them lately that are only doing, they won't even price the house till they get done because of the prices are going up fast enough. And after somebody ended up bringing money in to close a house he just built and he made no money on it, he went to just doing spec homes. But I've talked to some of the custom builders and they're doing the same thing.
Okay.
You're going to play cost. If you're going to do custom, it's going to be cost plus whatever they make. And because of the skyrocketing costs, it's just not a good thing.
Okay.
I mean, a sheet of plywood a year ago was $20.
Yeah.
And they're 65 to 110, depending on the thickness and the quality.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So there's a lot of sheets of plywood in a house. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
And Heather's husband's a contractor, so she can probably attest to that. Any other questions?
Do you see the role of these online companies like Redfin and the different ones that are offering sort of discount selling your house as a threat to your business, or do you think that it has its place?
Historically, a lot of those people, even the agents that go there that are kind of green, they're going to do a lot of transactions, but they're only paid a small fee. And people aren't real happy with them. I've built a referral-based business. We're actually 92% referred and repeat from our past clients. And I still have to prospect. I still have to call my database, but my database is over 800 people at this point. It was 896 last month. So it's a lot of people I can talk to, but I still want to meet new people because not everybody's moving right now. So if you have good service, they're going to come back. And I don't think they have as good a service.
Makes sense.
We have to, which means we have to be smarter and learn more. Okay. We have to be experts in our field, and we have to understand what we're doing. So don't wait until you're in front of a client before you write an offer. Write 25 offers so you know the contract. The beginning of every year when they drop in the new contracts, I go over it 5 times myself. So I know where everything is because it moves around.
Explain that a little further. So practice by writing up mock offers, you're saying, or?
Yeah, write the mock offers. Write a VA, a country property, an in-town property, an historical property. Get to know all the different forms.
I see. And then have your like mentor or principal broker look at to see if you did it correctly, or?
Yep. I would only write one to start with and have them look at it, and then go home now that you get the input back on, are you doing it right or wrong? And then write all the other kinds. But start with something that's in a subdivision that's simpler.
Okay, it's a great idea. Thank you.
But don't be afraid to write 20 of them. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
All right, if there's no more questions, I'll let you guys go. If you need to reach me, I'll type in my phone number. You can give me a call.
Hey, thanks very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.